Welcome to the deep dive. You send us your sources, and we extract the crucial insights.
That's the idea.
Today, we're looking at a YouTube transcript. It's from English Podcast Zone.
Okay.
Seems pretty straightforward, designed to help people learn English.
Right. But the subject matter is key here.
Exactly. It's about fundamental financial ideas, things like debt, recession, stuff we all really need a solid handle on.
Absolutely. And what's interesting is how this language learning material gives such a direct path into understanding these really important economic concepts.
Yeah.
You, our listener, are aiming to grasp these quickly, thoroughly, without getting, lost in complicated explanations.
And that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
To dive into this transcript, pull out the practical knowledge.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so this transcript, it covers quite a bit. We're going to clarify what a recession is, what being break means. We'll also break down terms like loan, mortgage, tuition, get to grips with that idiom, hit me pretty hard.
And the cultural differences around debt, too, right? That sounds fascinating.
Definitely. Ready to dive in.
Let's do it. So the transcript kicks off with vocabulary. First up, recession.
Right. So according to this source, a recession is a period of time when the economy of a country is doing badly. Pretty clear.
Yeah, and they give indicators.
They do. Like the country's making less money, people losing jobs.
Reduced spending.
And falling stock prices.
Yeah.
They even note that this was or is the situation in the U.S. when they recorded.
And these things usually happen together, right? That signals the real economic slowdown.
Exactly. It's not just one thing in isolation.
Right. Understanding how those factors, less production, more unemployment, less spending, falling stocks occur together is, well, it's key to recognizing a real contraction.
And the second term is, unfortunately, familiar for some. Broke.
Yeah, yes.
Their definition, simple. It means that you have no money.
Direct.
Very direct. A situation many can relate to, especially when the economy's rough.
And it's simple, but, the experience of being broke that can have wider impacts socially, psychologically, that the definition doesn't quite capture.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So these two terms, recession and broke, they really set the scene for the dialogue bit in the transcript.
Yeah. This is where it gets interesting.
So there's this conversation. A man, Charlie, needs help from a Mr. Corleone.
Okay.
Because he's in financial trouble. Recession's hit him. Lots of debt.
Right. And he's not going to a bank.
No. He's going to Mr. Corleone, who sounds like he might have connections to, let's just say, unconventional finance.
The mob, maybe.
They sort of hint at that. And the surprising part,
What's that?
even Mr. Corleone says he's broke because of the recession.
Wow. Okay, that really underlines how widespread recession's impact can be.
Doesn't it?
The original podcast hosts even joked, didn't they? Like, it's a bad recession when even the mob runs out of money.
Yeah. It's memorable, maybe a bit darkly funny, but it highlights the potential severity, hitting all levels.
Definitely makes the point.
Okay, so after that dialogue sketch, they move into language takeaway, clarifying vocabulary.
Good idea.
First is loan, simply when you borrow money.
Straightforward enough.
And they make a really important point. Don't mix it up with a loan, A-L-O-N-E.
Oh, yeah. Crucial distinction, especially for language learners, but good for all of us. A loan is a financial agreement, right? Money advanced, expecting repayment, usually with interest.
And you can think about different types of loans, too.
Like secured versus unsecured, yeah.
Next term, mortgage. And that tricky silent T.
Ah, yes. The silent T.
They explain it's a specific kind of loan for buying a house or property.
And the pronunciation.
Mortgage, stressing the
both.
key sound.
Yeah, the key is its specific purpose. Real estate. The property itself is the collateral.
Meaning the lender can claim it if you don't repay.
Exactly. That security is what defines a mortgage.
Okay. Then they explain the phrase, hit me pretty hard.
An idiom.
Yeah. They use examples from the transcript like divorce hitting you hard or a bad illness.
Even losing a pet, they mention.
Right. It just means something had a big negative impact on you.
Yeah, a significant adverse effect, emotional, physical, or, like for Charlie, financial. The examples really show the intensity.
Definitely gets the meaning across. And the last word in this section, tuition.
Ah, education costs.
Yeah, important one. Defined as the money you have to pay to your school so that you can study there.
Usually college or university.
Right. But they also mention that in some countries, it can even apply to public schools.
Which really highlights what a major financial thing this is for individuals, for families. Tuition is a huge investment.
and often a big reason for taking on debt later.
Absolutely.
Okay, so after the vocab, the transcript has a fluency builder section, looking at common phrases.
Making things sound more natural.
Exactly. First one, what can I do for you? They say it's a polite, natural alternative to just, can I help you?
Interesting. It's subtle.
Yeah, but maybe it implies more willingness. Sounds more accommodating.
I can see that. A bit more open-ended.
Second phrase, I'm really sorry to trouble you.
Ah, the polite interruption.
Exactly. You use it when you need to ask for something, apologize for maybe bothering them.
Like asking for a signature.
Yeah, or needing to leave work early, or just borrowing a pen. Those everyday examples.
It shows you acknowledge you're asking for a little effort from them. It's polite.
Right. And the final fluency phrase, on top of all that,
Oh, that's a useful one.
really is. Means, and also, basically, adding another thing to a situation.
Piling it on sometimes.
Yeah. They give negative examples. Lost your job, car stolen, and on top of all that, a breakup.
Oh,
Ouch.
rough times.
But it works for good stuff, too. Like, it's your birthday, friends visit, and on top of all that, lots of presents.
Right. It emphasizes an additional point, compounding things, good or bad. Very flexible phrase.
Definitely. So after all that language stuff, the transcript shifts gears, talks about cultural views on debt. This was really interesting.
Okay, how so?
Well, they highlight North America, especially Canada, saying debt is quite common there.
Yeah, almost expected sometimes.
And seen as necessary even for building a credit history. You need that history to get loans later for, a car or a house.
That's a huge point. The credit score, building that positive history through borrowing responsibly, it's baked into the financial system in North America.
Right.
Without it, getting those big loans is way harder. You could even think about the psychology of it, like readily available credit shapes attitudes.
And they contrast this with Europe, using Switzerland as an example.
Okay, what's the view there?
Much more cautious about debt, often viewed negatively.
Less emphasis on borrowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They give this wild example. To get a credit card with, say, a 500 Swiss franc limit, you might need to deposit 700 francs first.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really different from here.
Totally the opposite. They mentioned banks in North America actively offering credit cards to university students.
Sometimes with freebies just for signing up. That stark contrast really shows the cultural divide in how debt is seen and handled. In some European cultures, maybe there's more focus on saving, avoiding debt. Different social safety nets might play a role too.
Whereas in North America, it's often framed as a tool for economic participation.
Yeah, and that active marketing of credit to young people really shows that different approach.
And they tie it back to the recession idea, saying the prevalence of debt in North America becomes really apparent, maybe problematic, during economic downturns.
Right, it highlights potential vulnerabilities in a high-debt society when things go south.
Underscores the need for careful money management wherever you are.
Definitely. It's a reminder about financial awareness, responsible borrowing, no matter the cultural norm around you.
So finally, the transcript wraps up with a quick audio review, just recapping the definitions.
Reinforcing the main points.
Yeah, things like trouble, recession, hit me pretty hard, debt, on top of all that, and broke. A quick summary.
Useful little checklist to make sure the core ideas landed.
So, even though we started with an English learning resource,
We ended up with some really valuable insights into basic finance.
it just shows useful knowledge can pop up in unexpected places.
Absolutely. And it highlights how even simple dialogues can give rich context for these big real-world issues that affect all of us.
So true. Okay, so for our final thought for you, the listener, consider how your own cultural background, your personal experiences, how do they shape your views on debt and economic hardship?
Yeah, what are the unspoken rules or beliefs about money in your community?
Definitely something interesting to reflect on.